We saved one person.
Too close, Commander. 10 more seconds, we would have been swimming in molten sulfur. The Normandy isn't equipped to land in exploding volcanoes. They tend to fry our sensors and melt our hull. Just for future reference.
That's a good
We almost
reference.
died out there, and your pilot is making jokes?
It's a coping mechanism.
It's a coping mechanism. You'll get used to it.
I see. It must be a human thing. I don't have a lot of experience dealing with your species, Commander. But I am grateful to you. You saved my life back there, and not just from the volcano. Those Geth would have killed me or dragged me off to Saren.
What did Saren want with you? Do you know something about the conduit?
Only that it was somehow connected to the Prothean extinction. That is my real area of expertise. I have spent the past 50 years trying to figure out what happened to them.
50 years? Sorry, lived to be 1,000. Lucky. I think humans live to be about close to 150, if not, in this universe by this timeline. Crazy.
Just how old are you exactly?
I hate to admit it, but I am only 106.
Damn. I hope I look that good when I'm your age.
A century may seem like a long time to a short-lived species like yours. But among the Asari, I am barely considered more than a child. That is why my research has not received the attention it deserves. Because of my youth, other Asari scholars tend to dismiss my theories on what happened to the Protheans.
Oh, well, I've got an idea.
I've got my own theory on why the Protheans disappeared.
With all due respect, Commander, I have heard every theory out
Just
The
imagine you're doing a dissertation on a lost civilization and some random soldier goes, you know, I've got a theory about why they're gone too. And you go, shut up! I got my doctorate in this. This is my thesis on this. How dare you?
and cleanse the galaxy.
Just spout off nonsense like that.
Incredible part. According to my findings, the
I really dig
galactic
stories with the precursor race. They're very played out in a sense. The market's been saturated with them, but I always appreciate a good precursor race story like the Protheans. To the point where in Mass Effect 3, where they do get introduced, and you get to learn a lot more about them, man, it's super disappointing because it's just not entertaining. Some parts of it are, but it really feels like a letdown compared to like what it felt like they might have been.
Where'd you come up with this theory? I thought there wasn't any evidence.
I have been working on this for 50 years. I have tracked down every scrap and shred of evidence. Eventually, subtle patterns start to emerge. Patterns that hint at the truth.
So yeah, for frame of reference,
To explain to someone
Asari like Liara tend to kind of live wild in their maiden stage,
It is
like
more
their young,
like
reckless
the rock
stage until they're like
century of dedication.
getting close to their 500s.
But I know I'm right.
Then they do their matron stage where they typically settle down, raise a family, and then when they hit 1,000 or close to 1,000, they do the whole community leader part of their life. So Liara being a book nerd is kind of like, oh, she's a little atypical. The neighbor's throwing a party. So who came before the Protheans?
If the Protheans weren't the first, then who was?
I don't know. There is barely any evidence on the Protheans. Even less.
This is another
before them.
really interesting part of the story that feels like it never gets touched on. There's a little bit of detail here and there, but about species who came before the Protheans in this cycle of extinction and civilizations rising and falling.
Only ruins survive.
And there's a plot detail in Mass Effect 3 about a major plot element that feels like it could have swung really hard into it about all the different cycles and then explored in detail how interesting and different they are from us.
The mass relays and the
And it just gets swept under a rug, honestly. Not that it didn't happen, but it just kind of turns into, yeah, that don't matter right now.
Civilizations throughout galactic history.
When it feels like it really should.
Protheans disappeared. I have dedicated my life to figuring out why.
Like, the fact that, like, Reapers represent a lot of the foregone civilizations as they've been raised and destroyed and genocided. It really feels like we could have done more with exploring the intricacies of, like, each Reaper being a monument to the species that existed, or some leftover archive within the Reapers that references those civilizations. But I can help you.
They were wiped out by a race of sentient machines.
Sapient. Sapient is the word.
The Reapers. But I have never heard of. How do you know this? What evidence do you have?
There's a beacon on Eden Prime.
There was a damaged Prothean beacon on Eden Prime. It burned a vision into my brain. I'm still trying to sort out what it all means.
Visions. Yes, that makes sense. The beacons were designed to transmit information directly into the mind of the user. Finding one that still works is extremely rare. No wonder the Geth attacked Eden Prime. The chance to acquire a working beacon, even a badly damaged one, is worth almost any risk. But the beacons were only programmed to interact with Prothean physiology. Whatever information you received would have been confused, unclear. I am amazed you were able to make sense of it at all. A lesser mind would have been utterly destroyed by the process. You must be remarkably strong-willed, Commander.
Thank you.
This isn't helping us find Saren or the conduit.
Of course, you're right.
Ooh, interesting. When you're a male chef, Ashley's the one that says, yeah, who cares?
Unfortunately,
So this game's coded a lot to spur on the rivalry between your main romantic interests, depending on what gender you are. Or choose to be, rather. Anyways, you can still help, I'm sure.
I don't know why Saren wanted you out of the picture, but I think we'll be a lot better off if we bring you along.
Thank you, Commander. Saren might come after me again. I cannot think of anywhere safer than here on your ship. And my knowledge of the Protheans might be useful later on.
And her biotics will come in handy when the fighting starts.
You can come. Welcome aboard. I honestly, having an expert on the species that we're kind of using to better understand the Reapers, the Protheans, the Reapers via the Protheans, would be helpful to have, honestly. It helps, gives us a lot more context to what's going on.
Good to have you on the team, Liara.
Thank you, Commander. I am very grateful. Oh, I am afraid I am feeling a bit lightheaded.
When was the last time you ate or slept? Dr. Chakwa should take a look at you.
It is probably just mental exhaustion, coupled with the shock of discovering the Protheans' true fate. I need some time to process all this. Still, it could not hurt to be examined by a medical professional. It will give me the chance to think things over. Are we finished here, Commander?
Yes, we'll talk later.
We can talk again after you've seen the doctor. The rest of you, dismissed.
Mission reports are filed, Commander. You want me to patch you through to the Council?
This is probably one of the most fun / disappointing parts of Mass Effect 1 is getting to do a debriefing with the Council, because they always miss the point of the mission. They always look at the report and go, wow, you really screwed up. And I'm like, no, look at the report, man.
Patch him through, Joker.
Setting up the link now, Commander.
We've received your report, Commander. I understand Dr. Tassoni is on the Normandy.
I assume you're taking the necessary security precautions.
No, she's fine. She's a good person. Did you read the part in my file where Liara backed up the part on her being a Prothean expert that the Reapers probably wiped them out, considering how odd it is that there's so little left of Prothean society and that they just magically vanished? Did you read that part?
Liara's on our side. The Geth were trying to kill her.
Benezia would never allow Saren to kill her daughter.
Maybe she doesn't know.
Or maybe we don't know her. We never expected she could become a traitor.
At least the mission was a success.
Apart from the utter destruction of a major Prothean ruin. Was that really necessary, Shepard?
Listen, the part about Liara backing me up about the Reapers existing, what about that? Because the laser was kind of an accident, to be honest.
The Geth were crawling all over those ruins. We were lucky to make it out alive.
Of course, Commander. The mission must always take priority.
Good luck, Commander. Remember, we are all counting on you.
Cool, thanks for engaging with me. About the mission details specifically. They didn't engage with me at all. It's rather surprising. Alright, this is pretty good, and honestly I need to unlock Unity to revive dead squad mates. This is going to improve my first aid skills. So we'll do that, and then we really have to bump finesse and pistols as our next stuff. We really have to get on top of that. Alright, but let's go say hi to the crew. A good rule of thumb is after you complete a major story mission to come talk to the crew. At least your squad mates. Joker usually has something to say. And then there's also, like, at some point, you can talk to them too, even if you haven't completed a mission. There's like 3 or 4 conversations you can have with them. As long as you check in on them, even if you're randomly doing side quests, they'll have something to say. You get an idea for when there's new stuff popping. All right, Joker, what's your one line for Therum?
I prefer gold to silver, you know, for my medal. I figured you'd recommend me for one since I, pulled your boots out of the fire.
If we present you with a medal, you'll end up sitting on stage listening to politicians make speeches for a couple of hours.
That's a good point. They'd probably make me shave, too. I spent the last 7 weeks working on this baby. No medal's worth that. So, Commander, why don't you tell me why you're really here?
I'm not.
I have to go.
Alright, see ya.
Goodbye. Yeah, no. Joker gets his line and then you walk away. That's really all there is to it. Alright, so Liara's in the med bay. That's where she hangs out. Ten Hut. Thank you. Let's see here. Just gonna mission debrief, get everyone's thoughts, progress everybody's character dialogue. Your weapon locker, your personal weapon locker here, typically fills back up with random stuff after you complete one of the plot missions. It's not always very consistent, but it does fill up every once in a while. So it's something to consider just to look back at it. Nope. Adventure hammer. Hammer's pretty good, actually. What's the hammer's thing? Hammer is 3-round bursts with low accuracy. So it's like the Incisor from Mass Effect 2, essentially. I'll give it a shot. The damage is higher. The accuracy is actually higher than what I have now. Actually, oh, well, it's only 1 point. Let's try it. And then we won't give anybody else the Reaper 3 just in case. Yeah, and the Avenger's actually very accurate. Oh, the Avenger 3 is actually... But damage-wise, it's not very good. Versatile, though. We'll come back to it. We'll see how that goes. Kaidan. Oh, wait. The sleeper pods have codexes on them? I already collected them. Alright, we're fine. Kaidan. Talk to me. Talk to your girl. I feel like FemShep is canon for me, honestly. Kaidan looks good in this version.
Do you have a minute?
That's interesting. When you play as male Shep, you have to, like, be the one to open up the conversation. But here, it's the other way around. It's kind of fun.
I always make time for my officers.
Off the record, I think there's something wrong here. This Saren is looking for records on some kind of galactic extinction, but we can't get backup from the Council? Sorry, Commander. There's writing on the...
And this is why I like Kaidan, at least. I know some people still have the lingering hatred from Karth in KOTOR 1 and 2. It's the same voice actor, and it's the same basic character. But Karth is really down to earth and has a really good ear to the ground about the conflict. Like, every time the Council doesn't listen to you about something really important on your mission, Kaidan's the one that's just, like, really knows, like, hey, that thing with the Rachni, here's my opinion. That's exactly what we should have done, Kaidan. The game just didn't let me do it. The Prothean ruins and how Saren's investigating the Reaper's effect on society, like, that should be important. I hear you, man.
The Council doesn't want to believe anything's wrong. I'd call it human nature, but...
I hear you. It just seems like a group that's been around as long as the Council should see this coming. It's funny, we finally get out here, and the final frontier was already settled. And the residents don't even seem impressed by the view. Or the dangers.
Shut up, Lieutenant. That's mean. Nah, that's an interesting way to look at it. Is the final frontier is already settled, and no one's really impressed. I mean, that is an old-fashioned way of looking at it. I guess so. You know, people are here before we are. I don't know if I'd call that cute, but it is a fun metaphor.
Well, you're a romantic. Did you sign on for the dream, Malenko? Secure a man's future in space?
Yeah, I read a lot of those books when I was a kid, where the hero goes to space to prove himself worthy of a woman he loves, or, you know, for justice. Well, maybe I was a romantic in the beginning, but I thought about it after brain camp. Biotic acclimation and temperance training. I'm not looking for the dream. I just want to do some good. See what's out here. Sorry if I got too informal. Protocol wasn't a big focus back in Bot.
Nah, that's cool. What's that?
Tell me about it.
Biotic acclimation and temperance didn't last past the airlock. To the kids they hauled in, it was brain camp. Sorry, hauled in is unkind. We were encouraged to commit to an evaluation of our abilities so an understanding of biotics could be compiled. There are worse results of accidental exposure to Element Zero in the womb. Beats the brain tumors some kids grew up with.
So yes, Element Zero, to briefly explain the entire magic element of Mass Effect, is essentially, we found out in this version of humanity's timeline and the universe that there's a specific element called Element Zero, we dubbed it, or EZO as it's the slang term is named for. Essentially, it is a element that has the ability through, once you run an electrical current through it, can alter the mass of something. So it can make it heavier, lighter, or it can distort its properties and essentially tear it apart. You know, tear apart the components of something like warp does. The technology of Mass Effect is essentially that. You know, Mass Effect drives, allowing the mass to be reduced so that things go faster. The way the guns work is that they're little blocks of sand that they shave off a tiny grain of and fire with an electrical current and Mass Effect it through, so it basically fires like a bullet, essentially, functionally, infinitely with ammo, because it's just based on a heating of how much electrical current you're firing through the gun to make sure that the propulsion mechanism goes. And as an extended result of that, other races who have Element Zero in their environment have the ability to run electrical currents through themselves to alter the effects of things as Element Zero does. In humanity, Element Zero is not a naturally occurring environmental component, so there were quote-unquote accidental exposures to EZO in the womb, and that's the only way you grow up to be a biotic, someone who can use the Mass Effect field as a human. You get implanted with something in your brain or in your head that allows you to better control the ability, like Hayden is, but that's been coming with a lot of dangers and a lot of trial and error, as you'll see through Kaidan right now. So, accidental, you know?
Is there some question about how you were exposed?
My mother was downwind of a transport crash. It was before there were human biotics, a little after the discovery of the Martian ruins. It only gets iffy around 63 when Kinetics was running out of first-gen subjects. Until then, they'd relied on accidentals. A bunch of guys in suits show up at your door after school, and next thing you know, you're out on Jump Zero.
So, every once in a while, we have a bunch of group of kids that turned out, hey, we were exposed to in the womb. Isn't that a coincidence? So tell me about Jump Zero, though, the place where you all went to.
Jump Zero is Gagarin Station, right? What's it like?
Yeah, that's the official name. Biggest and farthest facility we had for decades. Right on the termination shock, the outer edge of the solar system. It's where they did all the Goose Chase FTL research before we caught on.
Kaidan's actually from Vancouver.
It was a sterile research platform when I was there.
You have any friends?
There were other kids in the same boat, right? At least you weren't alone out there.
That's true. We did have a little circle that'd get together every night before lights out. We didn't have much to do, though. It was a research platform then, and Kinetics kept Jump Zero off the extranet to prevent leaks.
At least you got to know each other.
Then you must have had plenty of time to get to know each other.
Yeah, we'd sit around and bull every night after dinner, play cards or network games. There was this girl named Rana, who had a little circle grow up around her. She was from Turkey, her family was very rich, but she was smart and charming as hell. Beautiful, but not stuck up about it. Like you, I guess. Ma'am.
Well, that's very unprofessional but flattering.
Sounds like she was special to you.
She was. Maybe she felt the same, but things never felt together. Training, you know.
So you think maybe they did it on accident, on purpose, I
Do
mean?
you know of any intentional exposures for certain?
No one knows. Doesn't mean they didn't happen. As big as the exposures were, it was hard to track down accidentals. It was different then. No one knew the potential, so there wasn't a lot of regulation. Anything Kinetics did was gold. I'm not saying they intentionally detonated drives over our outposts, but in retrospect, they were damn quick on the scene.
Yeah, so at best it's suspect. At worst, yeah, the government detonated experimental elements over our residential sectors, and boom, in a couple years we have biotic kids that we get to experiment on. Or test, rather.
Jump Zero's a long way from home. What was it like?
The Grand Gateway to Humanity looks a lot better in the vids. Anyway, this was supposed to be a casual debrief, not a bull session about stuff that happened years ago.
I like to know my crew.
We have to depend on each other in combat. I like knowing what kind of man I have at my back.
I understand, ma'am. I won't let you down. You, make a habit of getting this personal with everyone?
To some degree. No, I mean, not like the guy upstairs who guards the door. So Kaiden's a lot more aggressive about the romance right away. I feel like with Ashley, you kind of have to really slide in those DMs. This is very obviously, yes, I like you. This is kind of, meh, kind of like you. No, I kind of like everybody a little bit. With everyone? Yeah, to some degree.
Of course. But I don't enjoy it with everyone. We'll talk again later.
I'll need some time to process that, Commander. But, yeah, I'd like that.
Interesting. Kaiden seems to like attractive women. Interesting. Hey, Dr.
Yes,
Chocolates.
Commander? Is there something you need?
Did I talk to you already? It doesn't matter.
Goodbye, Commander.
We'll talk later. Liara, what's it like being an Asari?
Commander, are you coming to check up on me?
No. Shut up. Anyways, how are you?
You look much better. How are you feeling?
Get used to that dialogue, because they love repeating it, depending on where you get Liara.
I was impressed with her knowledge of Asari physiology.
She's the best.
You're in good hands. Dr. Chakwas knows what she's doing.
I never properly thanked you for saving me from the Geth, Commander. If you hadn't shown up,
Nah, don't mention it.
I'm just glad we got there in time.
So am I. I know you took a chance bringing me aboard this ship. I have seen the way your crew looks at me. They do not trust me. But I am not like Benezia. I will do whatever I can to help you stop Saren. I promise.
I don't know you that well. So, let's go with we'll see.
Promises are easy to make, but hard to keep.
I do not begrudge you your suspicion.
I'm not even really suspicious, I just don't know you that well.
To trust me.
Tell me about Benezia.
Do you know why Benezia joined up with Saren?
I don't understand it. She was always outspoken about the need for the Asari to become more involved in shaping galactic events. Maybe she thought allying herself with Saren would somehow be for the greater good in the long run. At least I hope so.
You sound upset.
This hurts you, doesn't it?
None of this makes any sense to me. I have not spoken to Benezia in many years, but I know her. And this was not like her. Something changed.
I'd like to know more about the Asari.
I'd like to know more about the Asari.
Wow, that was beat for beat, exactly what she said.
Over the Citadel. We were instrumental in forming the Council, and we always strive to be the voice of peaceful cooperation in galactic disputes.
She's like reading from a thesaurus right now. Not a thesaurus. That's like a word dictionary.
Contribute something to the greater whole. Although we seek to understand other species, it seems few of them seek to understand us. The galaxy is filled with rumors and misinformation about my people.
Like what?
Like what?
Most of the inaccuracies are centered around our mating rituals. My species is monogendered. Male and female have no real meaning for us.
Yeah.
We still require a partner.
So Asari are monogendered. There's only the one gender. Any member of a species can procreate with another member. That being said, there is one who carries the child to term, and another one who donates the genetics necessary to have the children come together because they're not asexual. So there is one in human terms father and mother, but they're both essentially the same gender for sex purposes, to be honest. And any other species can do it as well, because they're essentially just borrowing the genetics to randomize that kid's potential growth.
I don't understand. Your species can mate with anyone?
Mating is not quite the proper term, not as you understand it. Physically,
Yeah, I think Asari are mammals,
but it is not.
but their reproduction is interesting enough, is telepathic.
Our physiology
And their physiology just responds using Mass Effect fields in their mind to borrow genetics,
the genetic memory of their
or copy
species.
genetics rather, and then randomize it.
Basic elements of of their individual and racial identities. We then pass these traits on to our daughters.
Yeah, they're still Asari. They're just more diverse Asari.
Develop a greater understanding of other races.
What happens to your partner after the union?
Whatever they want.
The relationship is different. Some unions are a single encounter with both parents parting ways afterwards. Others can be more long-term. Sometimes an Asari and her partner will stay together for many decades.
Is the age difference tough?
You Asari live for 1,000 years. What happens when your partner dies?
Few sapient species live as long as my kind. We have learned to take a philosophical approach to our unions. We do not focus on the inevitable loss of our partners. Instead, we enjoy the time we spend with them. And even after they're gone, a part of them lives on in us. The union is a connection that transcends both time and space.
That's a very positive way of looking at it. I mean, I guess you have to be when you live forever. Well, 1,000 years, not forever, but still. Who was your day?
Do you know who Matriarch Benezia chose as her partner?
She rarely spoke of her partner. Though I know my father, if you want to use that term, was another Asari.
You can just use partner, honestly.
Benezia never told you her partner's name?
Union with our own kind is no longer common, not for the purposes of reproduction. Most Asari believe it weakens our species. Asari daughters inherit racial traits from the father species. If both parents are Asari, then nothing has been gained.
You have to remember that the Asari have been hanging out with other species for like over 1,000 years at this point. I think over 2,000 years.
Fool enough to say the word to my face. It is a great insult among my people. It is possible Benezia's partner was embarrassed by their union.
Which is a shame, honestly. Love who you want to love.
Publicly acknowledge me as her offspring.
You don't know that.
Maybe she wanted to meet you but couldn't. Something could have happened to her. Maybe she passed away.
You might be right. I hope you are. But I have no way to know for sure. Benezia never spoke of her partner. Whatever happened, it caused her too much pain to dwell on it. She raised me by herself, though that is not uncommon. Many Asari raise their children alone, particularly if the father species is short-lived. Often the partner will pass on long before the child reaches maturity.
Alright, we gotta back out of this conversation.
I should go.
Goodbye, Commander.
Alright, we learned about the Asari, now let's actually talk to her.
I get the feeling you want to ask me something, Commander.
Tell me about yourself, Liara.
Me? I am afraid I am not very interesting, Commander. I spend most of my time on remote digs, unearthing mundane items buried in long-forgotten Prothean ruins.
Well, it sounds like you like it, at least.
You must enjoy something about it.
I love my work. Seeking out history's lost secrets has a special appeal for me. You were actually touched by working Prothean technology.
That's true.
That's why I find you so fascinating, Commander.
I am rather fascinating.
Sounds like you want to dissect me in a lab somewhere.
What? No, I did not mean to insinuate. I never meant to offend you, Shepard. I only meant that you would be an interesting specimen for an in-depth study. No, that's
Thank you.
worse.
I'm joking, you gotta chill out.
Calm down, Liara. I was only joking.
Joking? Oh, by the goddess, how could I be so dense? You must think I am a complete and utter fool. Now you know why I prefer to spend my time in the field with data disks and computers. I always
What a
see
nerd.
something embarrassing around other people. Please, just pretend this conversation never happened.
Done.
I should go.
Goodbye, Shepard.
We'll talk more later with her and kind of learn more about her interest in Protheans and her interest in Shepard. As far as Liara goes, she's an interesting enough character. She's very archetypal. She's very much the archetype of the character who is the virginal space babe who doesn't know much about humans but is very curious about you, the main character. And just, you're so interesting, Shepard. I just want to get to know you. But it comes off as just kind of like emotionally inexperienced. Even among our own people, it feels that way. Anything new?
Looking for supplies?
Well, actually, I just want to sell stuff, actually. So I go right, and I go sell all junk. And now I have more money? I think I have more money. And these are the Spectre weapons. We'll get an X version of these eventually, too. But these are far too expensive right now. As I have heard, the bug where you don't have access to the Spectre weapons at some point can be fixed by apparently loading up a save towards the beginning of the game, and you have him open up the stocks for you, should fix that bug. I'm told. But yeah, even though they rewrite part of Liara's character, I don't really like either of Liara's characters they give her, either in Mass Effect 2 or 3 is fine. 1 is kind of cringeworthy, but like 2 is just, everyone in 2 is just so edgy, man.
Oh, hello, Shepard.
I love Tali though, she's great. Why are you so sad?
Are you okay?
I don't know. Your ship is amazing, and your crew's been really great to me, especially your chief engineer. But I just sort of feel out of place. The Normandy runs so smooth it feels like we're not even moving, and the engines are so quiet. How do you sleep at night?
How do you sleep at night? It's too quiet to sleep?
The silence wakes you up?
Back on the flotilla, the last thing you want to hear is silence. It means an engine's died or an air filter shut down. I guess you don't have to worry about that here. But
yeah.
But it's more than just the silence. This ship feels so empty. It's like half the crew is missing. Back home, I couldn't wait to go on my pilgrimage. I couldn't wait to get away from the crowds. Now that I'm out here, I kind of miss them.
I think that's the point. Yeah.
Sounds like the pilgrimage isn't just about finding resources for the fleet. Maybe it's about teaching you to appreciate your people and culture.
You're probably right. We Quarians spend our whole lives traveling, but really we never leave home. The pilgrimage has given me a whole new perspective on our culture. You know, there's always a few who go on their pilgrimages and never return. I always assumed something bad happened to them, but maybe they just wanted a different life.
I mean, you intend to go back.
You do plan to return to the migrant fleet, right?
I could never abandon my people, Shepard. I will go back eventually, but we have to stop Saren first. Otherwise, I might not have a home to go back to.
I should go.
See you later.
Tali's fun. Tali is very much, though, a typical Quarian. Cares about her family, very collectivist. Doesn't try to be very selfish individually. Codex. Sorry, I just have a huge habit of saving. I get nervous I'm going to crash this game at some point. Garrus!
Commander, how are you?
I'm doing alright, how are you?
Why did you want to be a C-Sec officer in the first place?
That's a good question. There were several reasons, I guess.
Like what?
Like what?
That's an easy one.
Probably the same as most officers. I wanted to fight injustice, wanted to help people. I guess my father had something to do with it too. He was C-Sec, one of the best. I grew up hearing about his accomplishments.
I know a lot of people like Garrus. Not very attractive personality in Mass Effect 1. And he's just so edgy in Mass Effect 2. He really mellows out in 3 though, so that's nice. Yeah, I can understand your dad probably not wanting you to leave your cop lifestyle that you kept butting your head against.
It's tough. But you'd think he'd be impressed you're going after Saren.
My father's a C-Sec man to the bone. Do things right or don't do them at all, he says. He thinks I'm being too rash, too impatient. He's worried I'll become just like Saren. He actually talked me out of becoming a Spectre when I was younger, for the same reasons.
No shit.
You were asked to be a Spectre.
Well, I was targeted as a possible Spectre candidate, me and about 1,000 other Turian military recruits. I could have received special training, but my father didn't like it.
He despises the Spectres. He hates the idea of someone having unlimited power with no accountability. He wouldn't like you, Commander. No offense.
No, I agree. Spectres are just secret police with no accountability.
I suppose I can understand his concern.
You can. But Saren's not going to play by our rules, C-Sec's rules. If you want to nail...
Spectres really need more backing. Number 1, we have to buy our own guns. Number 2, whenever we have an idea about something, no one believes us because we always work solo. And we never have to file, like, good reports, apparently. Anyways, that's not true. We need policies and procedures, Garrus.
Just because you can break the rules doesn't mean you should. I don't need to stoop to Saren's level to stop him. And neither do you, Garrus.
I see what you mean, but I'll think about it. Thanks, Commander.
Damn right, you better. Cop going off half-cocked, trying to shoot people constantly.
So, we've got Saren on the run.
You damn right we do.
Be long now. Saren's good, but I'm better.
I hate people outside. I hate my town.
He's rotten to the core.
Rotten to the core. Rex has been watching Descendants 1, excuse me. You met Saren?
Why didn't you tell me this sooner?
I would have if I thought it was important.
That's fair. Tell me anyways.
I think I'd like to hear about it just the same.
This was a while ago. A bunch of mercs were bragging about a job out near the edges of the Terminus systems. They said it paid well and the boss was never around to ride them. They said he was looking for more men, too. So I checked it out.
So you got recruited?
I didn't know Saren was openly recruiting mercs.
It wasn't that open, and he only showed his face once. We'd been raiding ships in the area for months when we took out this massive cargo freighter. Our biggest haul yet. I was on board checking bodies for valuables, looking for some extra credits. That's when I saw him.
You saw Saren? What was he doing?
What did Saren want with the ship?
I don't know what he wanted. He was just moving through the ship, watching. A couple of the mercs called him by name, but he never spoke to them. Never spoke to anyone. I had a really bad feeling about him, so I got the hell out. Didn't even wait to get paid.
What was the cargo?
What kind of cargo was the freighter carrying? What was Saren after?
I don't know. All I saw on that ship was food and medical supplies. There were some basic weapons, but nothing big. If there was anything of value on that ship, I didn't see it. That's why I didn't mention it sooner.
What about the ship itself?
Whose ship was it?
There was a Volus trading vessel. Big one. Lots of guards. But they were no match for us.
Anything else?
That's the only time you saw him?
Yeah. Didn't even know who he was. Still wouldn't if I hadn't joined up with you. But my instincts were right. Every other merc on that mission turned up dead within a week. Every damn one.
Wow. Thanks.
So long, Rex.
Shepard.
All right, Ashley, last one on deck.
Commander?
How we doing?
What's your opinion of the last mission?
Not sure I buy Dr. Tassoni's story about her and her mom not talking. They're family, right?
It might not matter.
Not everyone has a happy family life.
No, I guess not. Too bad those ruins got destroyed. I mean, they lasted thousands of years. That's impressive.
Do you have a few minutes to talk? One-on-one?
Sure. I was hoping to get a minute of your time. Off the record.
Oh wow, yeah. This feels like I didn't get this as male Shep. Oh wait, no, I did get this. Yeah.
I keep an open door policy. If you have any concerns, lay them on me.
All right. I know things are different aboard the Normandy, but I'm concerned about the aliens, Vakarian and Rex. With all due respect, Commander, should they have full access to the ship?
Speak freely. I want to know if I need to nip this in the bud.
Don't mince words, Chief. What's your concern?
This is the most advanced ship in the Alliance Navy. I don't think we should give them free rein to poke around the vital systems. Engines, sensors, weapons.
Is it, well, they're not nationals. They're just a different species and we need their help to do the mission. Is it just aliens you don't trust? Let's get to the heart of this. Is this another Presley? You can just yell at her. That's a yell prompt.
You don't trust the Alliance's allies?
I'm not sure I'd call the Council races.
Krogan isn't even a council race.
We, humanity, I mean, have to learn to rely on ourselves.
Standing up for ourselves doesn't mean standing alone.
I don't think we should turn down allies. I just think we shouldn't bet everything on them staying allies. As noble as the Council members say now, if their backs are against the wall, they'll abandon us.
Not completely. That being said, they are essentially different nations with different own political and species interests. So a lot of Ashley's commentary is not coming from the fact that they're aliens, just that we are one faction, they're a different faction, and the inherent difference of our species might make them make different decisions than we would, or make more selfish decisions as to their own preservation rather than us. But it's cynical. It's extremely a cynical way of looking at it.
I don't see that as inevitable.
Look, if you're fighting a bear and the only way for you to survive is to sick your dog on it and run, you'll do it. As much as you love your dog, it isn't human. It's not racism, not really. Members of their species...
The fact that she had to say it wasn't racism is a problem. And I want to point out that the whole... that as much as you love your dog, it's not human. She's talking about how the aliens feel about us. It's still very othering, but it's more from the point of view that she feels they're gonna other us and not prioritize us as much as they would their own people. But these seem like deeply held beliefs, Williams.
These seem like deeply held beliefs, Williams. What made you think this way?
My family's defended the Alliance since it was founded. My father, grandfather, great-grandmother, they all picked up a rifle and swore the oath of service. I guess we just tend to think of Earth's interests.
See, this is why I like Colonist Shepard. It's like, I just... They don't seem so career military. This is just kind of the life that chose them a little bit.
It doesn't sound like you've worked with aliens before.
No, ma'am. Mainly I've been groundside, part of the surface garrison forces. I did get a rotation on a space station for training. Every Marine a rifleman, every rifleman ZG certified.
Just one?
That's odd. Your record is spotless and your technical scores are exemplary. You should be serving with the fleet.
Anyway, that's why I haven't served with many...
Man, I'm watching Pat Starzat play Mass Effect Legendary Edition. He hates Ashley so much, and it's honestly warranted for a lot of Ashley sentiment. I'm seeing new dialogue that I don't normally pick because I like being buddy-buddy with a lot of my companions. But the mean dialogue to Ashley, oh my god, it's so funny. You can be so mean to her on the first mission that she's just like, what the fuck is your problem, man?
You're lucky. I lost my family on Mindoir. Are you related to anyone I'd have heard of?
Couldn't say, Commander. I read about Mindoir. The Alliance screwed the pooch on that one. Should have had a bigger garrison. Is that why you're out here? To take the fight to the pirates?
No. Although this is one of my favorite dialogue options, is just choosing why you're here. So yeah, wouldn't you get revenge? Yeah, hell yeah, I want revenge. No, I'm here for the Alliance. No. Honestly, when I think about my canon Shepard, when I think about the Shepard I'm role-playing, is they just want to get out there. They want to kind of see more to the world, put a little meaning behind the suffering. Not necessarily justify it, but understand that there's more to the world than what happened in the past.
No, the future of humanity is out here. There's so much we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I like Colony Farm Girl becomes important.
When we hit mud, the reality hit me. I'm the first person who ever stood here. Then my drill instructor kicked me in the ass. I went face first into the muck. He spent the next 5 minutes chewing me out for gold bricking.
Don't tell me you had Gunny Ellison. He's the only one who uses that word to describe shirking duty.
Oh lord, you went to the Makapog boot camp too? Yeah, Gunny Ellison's still reaming out recruits down there. Kicking ass and using words like inveigle and pusillanimous.
Alright. So I get where you're coming from, Williams, but you're working with aliens.
Alright, I can see where your concerns are coming from, Williams. But this is a multilateral mission. You're gonna have to work with aliens, like it or not.
It won't be a problem, Commander. You say jump, I say how high. You tell me to kiss a Turian, I'll ask which cheek.
Yeah, and this is like... Ashley is not stubborn about this. She is a stubborn personality, but if you meet her halfway on this, she'll be like, it's like, I don't care that they're aliens, I care that they might have foreign interests. And yeah, a lot of that is somewhat xenophobic. But she is on record in the entire series as being against more xenophobic and conservative forces and factions. Like, she doesn't join Cerberus, she hates Terra Firma. Like, she's on the spectrum of renegade and humanity first, but she's not all the way there. But I appreciate that. Thank you.
I don't think kissing Turians will be necessary.
You never know, Commander.
That's true. I might romance Garrus in Mass Effect 2.
Dismissed, Chief.
Ma'am.
So as Ashley comes to like you more, she'll call you Skipper. Nice little thing. Anyways, that's where we are for right now. I'm gonna do some quests on the side. Not very important side quests, to be honest with you. Anything that is important, I'll bring to your attention. Any Cerberus-related quests, I'll bring to your attention, just to show you how fucking incompetent they are. And then we'll probably meet back for Pharos. Yeah, we'll probably meet back for Pharos. Bye! You look good.